breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, everyone, from welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends, Curtis Rogers, who does such amazing work over at 710 Seattle Sports. We're going to chat with him about what we've all been seeing with the Seattle Mariners, the American League landscape, and so much more. And then in the final segment, I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GUnit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated, and then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Why did I not get in any Twitter/X questions today? We had ourselves a great day of baseball on Wednesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Chicago Cubs get the job done against the Baltimore Orioles, this by kind of 9-7 for Colin Ray. He said hip hip hooray to giving up 3 runs over the course of 5 1/3 innings as he was cranked deep in this one by Pete Alonso, 20th home run of the campaign. Then the bullpen would make a mess out of things. Caleb Theobar gives up a pair of home runs in his inning where Kobe Mayo is 11th home run of the campaign, and Tyler O'Neill, that was his 5th home run season because his 4th came earlier off of Drew Pomerantz. Pomerantz, welcome back, and he gives up 2 runs in 1 1/3 innings. It's been a rough season for him. Trent Thornton out of the bullpen scoreless, and then Jacob Webb, he was able to give you a scoreless inning. Meanwhile, Dean Kramer, he gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings, all solo home runs as Carson Kelly gets his 5th home run of the season. Michael Conforto, his 8th. You had Pete Crow Armstrong go deep for his 20th home run season, then later on his 21st, and Seiya Suzuki off of Grant Wolfram, 14th home run of the season. Wolfram, 3 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Uncle Rico Garcia, 2 runs allowed in 1 1/3 innings. Albert Suarez, Tyler Wells, they pitch well. They're both able to give you a scoreless inning. For Dylan Cease, he took a no-hit bid into the 9th inning, 10-0. Blue Jays just completely shellacked the San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb, 5 runs allowed over the course of 7 innings. He gave up all 5 in the first, settled down from there, but it was way too little, way too late as he does give up home run to Kazuma Okamoto, 21st home run of the campaign. Then Ryan Walker gives up a pair of bombs. George Springer, 9th of the season. Vlad Guerrero Jr., his 5th. Walker gives up 3 runs in an inning. Spencer Bivens, a scoreless inning, and Dylan Cease, he gives up that 1 hit and 8 shutout innings, 11 punch-outs, and then Tyler Rogers finished off the 9th inning with a save, and he went scoreless. For the Yankees, they went scoreless 3-0. The Tampa Bay Rays get the job done. Sugar Shane McClanahan, and 6 1/3 inning scoreless. Cole Sulzer, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Brian Baker, a scoreless inning, and Garrett Cole, 3 runs allowed in 6 1/3 innings. Fernando Cruz, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Anel Shavili, he was able to give you a scoreless inning, but way too little, way too late out there. The Seattle Mariners were held scoreless 2-0. The Miami Marlins get the job done. Tyler Phillips, 5 shutout innings. Cade Gibson has 2 shutout innings. Michael Peterson, Pete Fairbanks, they both give you a shutout inning. And George Kirby, pretty solid here. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Kyle Stowers, his 12th home run of the campaign. Nick Davila, he was able to give you 2 shutout innings, but absolutely nothing doing for Seattle at the plate. Nothing doing for the Pittsburgh Pirates at the plate. 3-0. The Atlanta Braves get the job done. Grant Holmes, 5 shutout innings. DDA Fuentes, Dylan Dodd, Dylan Lee, Racy Iglesias, all in a scoreless inning, and you had Jared Jones give you 6 no-hit innings. He was pulled with no hits allowed, and then from there, Mason Montgomery, a scoreless inning. Dennis Santana, he lost 2 runs in his inning. Were cranked deep by Joey Bart, 4th home run of the campaign. Isaac Manson, he gives up a run in an inning, but spoils what was a really nice start out there. The Athletics, they were held to 1 run, 6-1. The Detroit Tigers get the job done. Not a lot of scoring on this day as Trey Melton, unearned run, give it up in 5 1/3 innings. From there, Kadir Montero, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Tyler Holden, Bo Brisky, they both give you a scoreless inning, and then Jeffrey Springs gets sprung. 6 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. Pair of bombs allowed as you had Jake Rogers, who filled in for Dylan Dingler, 2nd home run on the campaign. Spencer Torkelson, his 15th, and then Justin Cerner, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Mason Barnett, a scoreless inning. Jose Suarez, 2 scoreless innings, but way too little, way too late out there for the Washington Nationals. 8-2, they're able to take down the Houston Astros. As for the Astros, you had Spencer Arrighetti, upchuck Mom Spaghetti, 8 runs allowed in 4 innings, and he gives up a pair of bombs. Luis Garcia, 20th home run season. CJ Abrams, his 20th, and then Alimber Santa was able to give you 2 shutout innings. Nate Pearson, Christian Javier, both give you a scoreless inning, and Foster Griffin, nice start here. 1 run allowed over the course of 7 innings. Orlando Robalta, Justin Lawrence from there, they're both able to give you a scoreless inning. Got no shortage of offense from the LA Angels. 13-1. They take down the Walker Texas Rangers as Mackenzie Gore gets scored. 7 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings, including a pair of bombs as he was taken deep by Joe Adell twice. He sets fire to the rain with his 12th and 13th home runs of the campaign. And welcome back Mike Trout off of Robbie Alstrom, his 18th home run of the season. Alstrom, 2 runs allowed in his inning. Gavin Collier, 2 runs allowed in an inning. Kyle Higashioka, that'd be a position player. He gives up 2 runs in his inning. And Ben Peoples, the Peoples scoreless inning. We love that. And Wabe Urena all over the fact that he wasn't able to get the win. He walks 5 in 4 shutout innings. But Sam Natera, 2 shutout innings. Ryan Zephyr on a scoreless inning. Jose Fermin, he does give up a home run to Kyle Higashioka, 6th home run of the campaign. And Mitchell Ferris from there was able to give you a scoreless inning. Certainly we're able to get some fireworks out here as you saw the Cincinnati Reds beyond to a 11-5 win over the Philadelphia Phillies as Alan Rangel, 3 runs allowed in 3 1/3 innings. Sander Banks, 4 runs allowed, and you got 1 out of the bullpen, and they gave up a combined 5 home runs. As going deep, you had Mr. Navoli Marte of the Marte Parte, 6th home run of the campaign, J.J. Bleday and Ellie De La Cruz. They get their 14th home runs, and cousin Stal Stewart, 18th and 19th home runs of the year. Max Laser, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Jose Alvarado, 4 runs allowed in an inning. You had Brad Keller, Tim Mesa both give you a shutout inning, and Chase Burns wasn't even great in this game. 6 walks allowed, 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. Brock Oberg, he does give up a home run to JT Realmuto, 7th home run season, and for Kyle Schwarber, a Schwarber bomb out of Rhett Lauder, 32nd home run of the campaign. Lauder makes noise, giving up that home run in 2 innings of work, but Caleb Ferguson, scoreless inning to be able to get that one in. Not a lot to him for the Milwaukee Brewers. They fall to the St. Louis Cardinals this by a count of 5-1. Michael McGreevy, 1 run allowed in 6 1/3 innings. From there, you had Jojo Romero, Riley O'Brien, both give you a scoreless inning. Luis Gallstrom, hopefully I got that correct, in his MLB debut, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. And Kyle Larson, not long for this game. 3 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings. He does give up a home run as he had Jose Fermin get his 4th home run of the campaign. Alec Burleson, his 15th home run season. That comes off Jared Koenig. Koenig gives up that home run in 2/3 of an inning. Grant Anderson, 1 1/3 innings. He allows a run, and then you were able to get a pair of scoreless innings. The young gun Garrett Stallings, but too little too late out there. And this was a little bit too little too late as well for the White Sox. Well, actually, I got nothing whatsoever. 5-0. They get shut out by the Boston Red Sox. How about Jake Bennett? 7 shutout innings from there. Greg Weiser, Giovanni Morin, both give you a scoreless inning. Davis Martin pooped the bed. 5 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings. From there, Chris Murphy, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Brian Hudson all ended scoreless. Trevor Richards, 2 shutout innings, but way too little, way too late. And for the Minnesota Twins, they come up big, 6-5. They take down the Cleveland Guardians as Slade Ciccone, 3 runs allowed in 3 2/3 innings. From there, the bullpen was pretty solid. Colin Holderman lives up to his same 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Tim Marin, a pair of outs. Scoreless, Sean Armstrong, 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Eric Zabrowski, he does not get a single out of the bullpen as he walks 3, but Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith save his bacon. They get a combined 5 outs between the 2 of them, but Matt Festa did not have a fiesta. He gives up a walk-off hit to the young outfielder Alan Rodin, and for Connor Prelip, he gives up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings, was taken deep twice. Reese Hoskins, 9th home run season. Brian Rocchio is 7th, but the bullpen from there pretty solid. Eric Orze, 2 runs allowed in 1/3 of an inning. Travis Adams, a scoreless inning. You also had Cody Funderburk and Andres Gomez, both give you a scoreless inning. And Taylor Rogers, he was able to give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless as well. For the New York Metropolitans, they find a way against the Kansas City Royals, 6-2. The final as Christian Scott. Scott was great. 5 shutout innings. Tobias Myers, 1 run allowed over the course of 2 innings. You had Brooks Raley not fall off the Rayleys with a scoreless inning. Xavion Curry, the well-traveled Xavion Curry, gives up a run in an inning, and Steven Cruz as the opener gives up a home run to AJ Ewan, 7th home run of the campaign. Randy Dominic from there was great. 5 2/3 innings scoreless. Matt Strawman out of the bullpen scoreless, and then Alex Lang gave up 5 runs over the course of 2/3 of an inning. Jose Quas from there and out of the bullpen scoreless, but yeah, that's not great to say the least for a Royals team that's now 38-55, so they have been royally bad thus far this season. And then these games are just getting done as I'm doing this. Do I have to have this up by midnight Pacific, 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern? And for the Dodgers, they just get the job done 4-3 over the Colorado Rockies. As for the young gun, he gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings. Gabriel Hughes, I believe his first career start. Brendan Bernardino, a shutout inning from there. And Antonio Sensatella, he gives up a run in the 8th inning. Roki Sasaki, 3 runs allowed in 6 innings. Taken deep twice. Edouard Julien, 3rd of the campaign. And Kyle Karros, he gets his 8th from there. Jack Dreyer, a scoreless inning. Tanner Scott, great Scott, he was able to give you a shutout inning. Alex Vesia, Edgar Enriquez, they're both able to end a shutout inning of their own. And currently this game is still going on, but we're starting to know what's going to happen. It's right now 10-3 with the Padres up on the Diamondbacks going into the bottom of the 8th inning. As for Michael King, he was the king of giving up just 1 run over the course of 6 innings. Ron Marinaccio gives up 2 runs in this inning. Verkedy was taken deep by Tommy Troy, his 4th home run of the campaign, and currently Kyle Hart is on to hold down the fort, and Jose Cabrera. 4 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. From there, Brandon Garcia farewells out the bullpen scoreless, but Taylor Clark, who's been good this year, 4 runs, 3 of which weren't in his inning of work. He was cranked deep by Luis Campusano, 4th home run of the campaign. Juan Barrio, 2 runs allowed in his inning of work. So Padres on their way of getting back to 500 with that win. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now, the over rate is right now just a hair above 55.5%, as favorites for the season are aiming at about 50.6%. If you include this game wrapping up between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks, 684 overs, 667 unders, and if math serves me correct, we have had 32 pushes. Favorites on the money line hitting at 56.1%, 755 and 590. Meanwhile, if you're looking at how they have done laying a run half, you've had a grand total of now 178 not be able to cover the run line. Meanwhile, if you're taking a look at the last 7 days in Major League Baseball, over rate just a hair above 48.5%, 43 overs, 45 unders, and 2 pushes along the way. Favorites on the money line, 61.2%, 52 and 33, and among those 52 favorites, 12 failed to cover the run line. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we're all getting front-wise. Coming next, how about if we do chat it up with our good buddy Curtis Rogers, the 710 Seattle Sports right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN family of podcasts.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Always great to be joined by this man as we've got Curtis Rogers aboard. He does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports. Looking at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. He is the pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners, doing a great job taking a look at a little bit of everything out there in the Pacific Northwest. And you're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at a kid from Kent. Same goes for Instagram. And Curtis, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, always happy to hop on with you, talk some baseball, and the All-Star break is within sight. It is very much in the picture, and everybody just kind of in the murkiness of the American League, the murkiness of what that league is right now. It's really hard to kind of figure out who's good, who's bad, with nearly half the league right now, but super excited to be at the season's, I would say, official midway point. You know, even though we're well past game 81 at this point, we all know the All-Star break is the midway point of the season. So very excited that we've reached this point. And, now we can kind of look more towards the trade deadline and more towards some of these playoff races.
Absolutely. And we'll start right there with what you were talking about. What in the world do we make out of this American League? Because if you can figure it out, please let me know. I've been trying to for the longest of time, and every single time it feels like I have found Eureka. I instead get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, it reminds me of the bathwater of my children after a long day of running around outside, just gray. Can't even see the bottom of the tub. It's disgusting. The American League is just wild. I've never seen it so down. And even the Yankees, who I think everybody kind of agrees are the most talented team in the American League, have been ice cold over the last couple of weeks. They have been just absolute dreck right now. And not to say they're, out of a playoff spot or anything like that. They're still very much in it, but I kind of wonder if maybe they're going to be sliding away here a little too much in that American League East race. And as we know, getting one of the top 2 seeds in your league is of the utmost importance. You get about 4 or 5 days off in between the end of the regular season and the start of the division series, because everybody's playing at least 2, even 3 games in some instances in the wild card series. So I look at just kind of the importance of getting a top 2 seed right now. Yeah, it's very important. I look at the Mariners right now here in Seattle, where prior to this series against the Marlins, they had wrapped up a really nice homestand against the Angels and Blue Jays and went 5-1 against those 2 teams. And all of a sudden they were, just a couple games out from being the 2 seed in the American League. And right now, they're kind of back to square one after dropping a couple of games to the Marlins. So it is anybody's race right now. I think the only team I'm feeling somewhat good about is the Rays. And even then, I mean, their run differential hasn't been amazing. They've got a big series coming up against the Mariners to finish off the season's first half. But all in all, the American League, I look at it and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm buying anybody right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying anyone right now either. And is there maybe a team that you could squint your eyes and perhaps see a little bit of value with? Because I think the Rangers could be able to do so. And I think that they're going to make the AL West interesting because I love their pitching. Again, the offense is rough, but that's the one team I keep coming to along with the Blue Jays. But it feels like the Blue Jays just keep burning me time and time again, unless if Dylan Cease carries a no-hitter into the ninth inning.
Yeah, and even then, it's still they have let a lot of people down this year, especially with their offense. One team that I'm looking at, and they did get shut out on Wednesday, but the White Sox have not gone away the way I think a lot of people thought they would have this season. Now, they're basically a mirror image of themselves away from home. They have such a great home record and such a poor road record. You're kind of wondering, like, okay, what's that middle ground for the White Sox? Is it a playoff team? Is it a team that can get to the postseason? I think they have the young talent to do so. Obviously, Colson Montgomery has been fantastic for them. Hopefully Munetaka Murakami can come back and have a huge impact on the rest of the season. Tristan Peters has been a nice addition to them. Sam Antonacci has been a fun player. Miguel Vargas has been phenomenal for them as well this season. Chase Mydroth. I mean, they've got a lot of really good players on that offensive side of the ball. So I look at the White Sox, Greg, and I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm believing in them, with both hands here. I'm not going all in on the White Sox by any stretch of the imagination, but like it's the midway point of the season. They're not going anywhere, and I don't think they're going to be going anywhere. I think they're going to be right there in the thick of things in the American League Central, maybe just based off of how bad things are. But like this White Sox team, I would say is not one that I would take lightly by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. With the White Sox, I mean, they've been able to tread water and then some without Montaka Murakami, which has really had me impressed. And it has been wild what we've been seeing in that league, to say the least, as our good friend Curtis Rogers over at 710 Seattle Sports joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And what do we make right now out of the Seattle Mariners? Because they've dropped a few games out there in Miami over the last few days. And I mean, the pitching continues to be really solid for this team. They have a conundrum as to whether or not they want to go with a 5-man rotation with piggybacking or 6. I mean, that's a good problem to have. And offense just continues to really not be there.
Yeah, that offense has been just porous here in the season's first half. In the bottom 5, pretty much in every offensive team category this season. And they have not been getting a lot of slug out of their big-time bats in the lineup. Josh Naylor, looking at him with just 19 extra base hits this season. Cal Raleigh, it has been kind of a lost first half for him. We were kind of talking about it today on our show with Yahoo Sports' Jordan Schusterman, and just kind of like, this isn't even a steep drop-off from last year. This is a steep drop-off from, 24, 23 with Cal Raleigh. Like, this is a staggering drop in production from him, one that I don't think the Mariners had planned on. Now, if you had told any Mariners fan, hey, on July 8th, the Mariners will still be in first place after Cal Raleigh has given you essentially nothing to this point in the season, people would be very stunned, first off, saying, what do you mean Cal Raleigh hasn't been a factor at all? The dude hit 60 home runs last year. What do you mean he's going to be essentially a nothing burger here in the season's first half? And then you kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'll take first place, I guess. But yeah, the pitching has definitely carried things for this Mariners team. Logan Gilbert has looked phenomenal. You've got Brian Wu at home who has looked phenomenal. That's an interesting wrinkle about his season, is that at home he has been one of the very best pitchers in all of baseball. In fact, he had a 32-inning scoreless streak at home, which is the longest in Mariners franchise history. That was snapped about a week or so ago. But he has been fantastic at home. Completely different case on the road. He has been awful this year away from T-Mobile Park. Emerson Hancock has been a revelation for the Mariners this year, finally kind of coming into his own as a former first-round pick, putting together his very best season at the big league level. And then Bryce Miller has been amazing this year. ERA well under 2, a whip of just .66. You couldn't ask for more from Bryce Miller this season. You did mention, the whole piggyback situation. That seems to be put on ice for now. Luis Castillo, he's looked better, and I don't know if it's a direct result of the piggyback, but he's definitely a much better pitcher now than he was in the season's first couple of months. So it's been the pitching that has carried the Mariners, and hopefully they can find enough offense to pay off what the arms have been able to give them here in the season's first half.
Yep, I'm right there with you. It's going to be very fascinating to see what happens moving forward. And for Bryce Miller, he is going to be the man on the bump on Thursday for the Seattle Mariners going up against the Miami Marlins. And what do you make out of the Miami Marlins? Because we've been asking for the longest of time if any team in the American League could step up, win some games, and all of a sudden, if you're looking for a team from out of nowhere that has stepped up and win games over the last 40 or so days, this Miami Marlins team has been one of, if not the best teams in the league.
Yeah, do not sleep on them. I've been guilty of sleeping on them here to start the month of July, but they have been incredible. And what a season it has been for Otto Lopez, the 27-year-old shortstop. You look at his numbers, a 345 batting average. He's got 26 doubles, 9 home runs. You're looking at a potential MVP candidate if he keeps this up in the season's second half. I think Xavier Edwards has done a really nice job for the Marlins, but it's really been Otto Lopez who has been just absolutely phenomenal for them in every single way. They've just got, guys who are like, who even is this? We were talking to a couple of the beat writers who follow the Mariners this year, and a lot of them kind of look at this Marlins team and I think I could probably name 6 guys on this team just off the top of my head. And it has not been, a lot of household names. Obviously, Sandy Alcantara, former Cy Young Award winner, he's looked better this year. He's kind of looked more of what he was a couple of years ago. The ERA is a little bit high at 4, but he does have a nice win-loss record, 10-4. Max Meyer has been fantastic for the Marlins this year. His slider and his sweeper have been a huge pitch for him, throwing it more than anybody in baseball. And then how about Yuri Perez? Maybe they'll let him finish off a perfect game if it ever happens again. That's really the only blip on the radar I can find with this Marlins team right now. Greg, you mentioned it. Since the start of June, they have the best record in all of baseball, and they're going to need to continue playing well, especially in that very hotly contested National League East. The Marlins are a team, Greg, I am not going to overlook anymore, especially when you look at guys like Otto Lopez, the season he's having. And then also Max Meyer in that rotation for the Marlins. They have been a really fun team to watch, and definitely a team worth paying attention to here as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline. They've hardly ever been buyers in their franchise's existence. Maybe this is the year we finally see them make a couple of acquisitions that could really put this thing in motion as we get closer and closer to games that really, really matter here in the season's second half.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I would love to see it. The Marlins have not been buyers, and I don't know if they've ever been buyers, but you know what? It might be nice to see because that NL East, as you mentioned, it is one that I think is very interesting. And just with this time of year in general, what are some things that are standing out to you? Because we've talked about the horrible American League. We've talked about the fact that the Marlins have heated up. Are there a few other players? Are there a few other teams that you feel like are going under the radar with regards to either overachieving or underachieving?
Well, a team that I thought was going to be better this season that has really kind of been poor, I guess, would be the Cincinnati Reds. I thought they were going to build off of last year's postseason appearance, but right now they find themselves in last place in a competitive National League Central. The Cubs are a team, Greg, that I've never seen a team more hot and cold than them over the course of this season. They have had some of the hottest stretches of baseball being played, and then also have played some of the worst baseball a team could possibly play. And those stretches were kind of back-to-back at one point in this season. At one point, I think they went something like they won 10 of 11 or something in the month of April. And then in the month of May, they dropped 1 million in a row. We're near 500 at that point. And then lo and behold, they've dug themselves out here, especially to end the month of June and to, the midway point of July here. That Cubs team, Greg, for as kind of Jekyll and Hyde as they've been, it's really hard to kind of believe which team is real and which team's not. But you look at some of the pieces on that Cubs team, I feel like if Alex Bregman can get going, and I mean, defensively, he's been great this year, but offensively, he has left plenty to be desired. That's somebody who I think could have a big impact with that Cubs team. Carson Kelly has been really good behind the plate. I am kind of interested to see what they do with Seiya Suzuki. I know his name has been mentioned in trade talks because he's coming up on the final year of his deal. And how about Dansby Swanson? The turnaround he has had this season was a horrible bat in that Cubs lineup for quite a while. And then all of a sudden has gone on one of the biggest tears of his entire career.
Yeah, 15 RBI in one day.
Yeah, exactly. He was phenomenal. So I look at Dansby Swanson right now for the Cubs, and yeah, his OPS is only 717, and his batting average is slightly above 200, but that doesn't tell the whole story, especially what he has been to this Cubs lineup as of late.
Oh my goodness. He has heated up so much over the last week or so. I am right there with you. And we've got a lot of intrigue in this sport of baseball, my friend. It is murky out there in the American League, and you're trying to bring a little bit of light to it, and I really appreciate it. Love the good people at home know it's all on tap for you, and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, we're just wading our way through the murky waters. We've got our waders on over here in the American League, Greg. But yeah, a lot of great stuff, a lot of great content coming out here on Seattle Sports this week. We had conversations with Keith Law of The Athletic, Robert Murray of Fansided. We've got just a lot of great stuff going on. I mentioned Jordan Schuster and Yahoo Sports, all three of those guys who stopped by the show within the last week. You can check out those conversations, seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports YouTube page. And we're also gearing up for the draft this weekend as well, which will be starting Saturday. It's still weird having the draft over All-Star weekend, but just something we got to get used to now. But yeah, Greg, a lot of great Mariners content, a lot of great baseball content coming out here in the Northwest, and hopefully even more of it comes out because this Mariners team fighting for their playoff lives in the American League West. And Greg, always happy to hop on with you, talk some baseball, and also gear up for this All-Star break. It's been a really fun first half, that's for sure.
It certainly has been a first half that has had a lot of excitement. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We've got ourselves some amazement coming up here, and our good friend Curtis, he's doing such an amazing job taking a look at this wonderful sport. So a big thanks to Curtis for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. It's always great to be joined by Curtis Rogers, who does such an amazing job over at 710 Seattle Sports. He is the Mariners pre- and post-game host every single time he joins me. Lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So a big thanks to Curtis for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at GUNet_81. We're going to be going in the Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order. Any interleague games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. So we get things started. This is 9:51, 9:52 on the card. The Braves are going to be on the road against the Pirates. Mitch Keller goes for the Buccos. Bryce Elder hopes to not look elderly for the Braves. And the Braves, they do find themselves between -111 to -118. Right around even money. -105 is that number on the Pirates. Total is 9. The over is -110 to -120. The under is between even to -110. And I like the Pirates on the money line, and I do like the over. I feel like the Pirates should be the favorite in this game because Bryce Elder, he has been terrible recently. 5+ plus runs allowed in each out of his last 3 starts. For the Atlanta Braves, they've been a bottom 3 team record-wise since the beginning of the month of June. They have fallen and they can't get back up. With Elder, he's got a 4.01 ERA. He's not really giving up too much of the deep ball, but not a lot of swing and miss. You look at the Baseball Savant page, and it's just not been great. And now he goes up against a Pirates team that is averaging 5.7 runs per game. That is at home, and that is numero uno in terms of home run creation this season. You've had Brandon Lau getting loud for this team. He's been able to supply you with 19 plus home runs, and then there's just so many other guys that move the line as well. Like a Jake Magnum has been able to hit 300. You've been able to get a lot out of Brian Reynolds, right around about a 400 MB. Nick Gonzalez, he's hitting above a 300. Don't call his name Marcelo Ozuna. It's not been great to say the least, but 1 through 7 typically has been good for this team. And for the Braves, Drake Baldwin just has happened himself since coming off the injuries, hitting like a 340 with regards to that on base. You've had Austin Riley be banged up this season. Mike Harris is hitting a 309. And you've got Matt Olson give you a 24 plus homers. He's been able to for about a 340 on base. Ozzy, Albies has been solid as well. And for the Braves, I will say, going into this series, number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA, but they are now dealing with an injury to Robert Suarez. You've got the Dylan Lee, Dylan Da. These guys have been able to give you a sub 325. Your ADD Fuentes has been solid along with Racio Iglesias, and for the Pittsburgh Pirates, they do have a little bit of a kryptonite there. As for this Buccos team, it's been all sorts of awful. Justin Lawrence just had to get DFA'd because he was that bad, and now you got Evan Sisk on the injured list as well. But that said, you should be able to get some okay innings here out of the likes of Yohan Ramirez, Carmen Bolzinski since coming off the injured list. He's been relatively solid as well. Gregory Soto, don't really trust in him, but that's a big reason why I do like the over for Mitch Keller. He has been better than the 5.02 ERA when it came right around about a 4.39 or so. Fielding independent, he's not doing the world's worst job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard, about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings, but just has not been able to get a lot of swing and miss, right around about 6.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. So I do like this total to the over. I did set my total at a 9.2, and for the Pirates, we'll play up to -113 on that money line. 953, 954 on the card. It's the Phillies, and they're going to be on the road against the Cincinnati Reds, and yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're on to Brady Singer, hopes to have the Phillies singing the blues, and Jesus Luzardo goes for the Phillies. Phillies are between -160 to -165 favorites, +135 to +147 is that number on Cincinnati. 9.5 is the total. The over and the under anywhere between -105 to a -115, and getting north of +145. I actually will be taking a shot on the Reds on the money line, even though Brady Singer has been all sorts of awful, because now he gets to go up against a bunch of the Philadelphia Phillies that they have been in the bottom 6 in the big leagues in terms of road run creation. It's a very top-heavy lineup. I recognize that Brandon Marsh has been able to come through a little bit more, but it's Kyle Schwarber, it's Bryce Harper. Harper 20-plus home runs, over 350 on base. Schwarber 30-plus bombs. He's been amazing, and he's going to strike out like 240 times this season as well, but Brady Singer has gotten his act together just a little bit more. Had that rough start against the Pittsburgh Pirates on the road, but now has given up 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 out of his last 5 starts, so I like the trajectory here. Still giving up 2.2 home runs, 3.3 walks per 9 innings, 5.03 ERA, but much better recently. And then for Jesus Luzardo, he has been much better recently as well, and he's a guy that you just take a look at the ERA, it doesn't match up. So I'm going to be in on this total to the under. I do think that this total is way too high, set mine at an 8.2 personally. As for Luzardo, 375 ERA, 296 fielding dependent, 10.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, 0.8 home runs per 9. He is backed up by a bullpen that can be a little bit wishy-washy. Jose Alvarado just has not been great for this team, to say the least. And then you've had Tanner Banks, guys like this, not be able to come through. Orion Kirkering, Yohan Duran, these guys have been very rock solid. And then for the Reds, they have been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA as well. Tony Santillan being out with injury has really not been hurting this team. You've got the likes of TJ Antone, Sam Moll, Brock and Roll Burke. These have been guys that will be able to give you a sub 350 ERA. And for the Reds, getting back Ellie De La Cruz is very big, because Kelvin Sales Stewart, he was carrying the mail for the team for quite some time. 17 home runs, give you about a 340 on base. But then you got Spencer Sear, JJ Bleday, Ellie De La Cruz, 13 to 14 home runs apiece. And I am for all these guys, aside from De La Cruz, hitting in that neighborhood about a 240. De La Cruz at 340 on base, and you do need more out of Eugenio Suarez, hitting for less than a 300 on base, 9 home runs as far this season. But Nathaniel Lowe, he's been out there, has been solid. The likes of TJ Friedel at the company at the bottom of the fold have been rough. But then again, for the Philadelphia Phillies, Gabriel Rincones has been giving you nothing whatsoever. Trey Turner has been a little bit better recently, but those guys outside their main 3 just have not been great. When they had Adolis Garcia out there, he was absolutely terrible. So I do like the total to the under. I set my total at an 8.2 and getting plus 144 better in on that Reds money line. 955, 956 on the card. It's the Brewers. They're going to be on the road against the Cardinals. Andre 3000 Palantes on the bump for the Cardinals, and Logan Anderson for the Brewers. Brewers -121 to -126 favorites, between plus 105 to plus 111 is that number on St. Louis. 8.5 is the total. The under is -115 and the over is -105. And when it comes to Logan Anderson, I feel like he should be more like a -140 favorite. I like the Brewers here on the money line, and I do think that this is going to be a higher scoring game. This is going to be the first start for Logan Anderson in quite some time. time. He hasn't started since the late part of May, but when he was out there, he was good. 11.7 strikeouts per 9 innings in his 5 starts this far this season. The Brewers, they just are a factory of being able to churn out these great arms. We've seen what they've done this year. Aside from Brandon Sproat, all these guys have been rock solid. Logan Henderson, I think, is going to be the next of them. Then again, coming off the injury list, what sort of length is he going to be able to give you? And for Andre Palante, well, I always like to call every Andre 3000. He's probably not going to give up 3,000 runs here, but he is a guy that pitches to a lot of contact. 6.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, and this is a Brewers lineup that is just going to hit you death by a million cuts. They're a top 5 team in terms of run creation, despite the fact that they're a bottom 5 team. In terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis, you've also got a St. Louis Cardinals bullpen that has been all sorts of tragic this season. They dealt with a lot of, shall we say, mixing and matching with the double dip, so they're very much, shall we say, depleted there. You've got the likes of a Matt Savanson, Ryan Stanek, who have an over 450 ERA. They have not been great. We've seen Gordon Gesefo, Jojo Romero have their issues as well, so not a lot of trustworthiness. Meanwhile, Trevor McGill, Abner Uribe, they've been able to pick it up after rough starts of the season, sub 350 ERA out of them. Jared Koenig is able to give you a little bit more after coming off the injury list, and then Chad Patrick has been a really good long guy. Meanwhile, for the Brewers, I talk about it, death by a million cuts. You look at the lineup yesterday, 1 through 7, all those guys entered in the game, hitting for at least a 320 on base. Even Cooper Pratt is starting to pick it up a little bit for this team. You've had Garrett Mitchell really be a nice find with about a 370 on base. Same goes for Jake Bowers, who leads the way, 14 and 15 home runs out of him. Jackson Trio, double-figure amount of bombs as well. William Contreras has been hitting above a 285. And then on the flip side for the St. Louis Cardinals, Jordan Walker. How about him being able to supply 19-plus home runs? He's hitting a 290. Here's a trepidation that you actually do have with the St. Louis Cardinals. So they're home and road splits in terms of their offense. This is a St. Louis Cardinals team that, I'm not even kidding when I say that they average over 5.5 runs per game at home. Entered into the day on Wednesday, 3.68 runs at home. Like, that is a very shocking disparity there, because St. Louis is a little bit pitcher friendly, but you wouldn't expect quite that. You've had Alec Burleson, Nelson Velasquez, both be able to give you between about a 335 to a 350 on base. Blaze Jordan has been able to okay, but not a lot of on base out of him. Lars Nootbaar has been able to move the line as well, but I do think that Logan Anderson going to be looking relatively solid coming off the injury list, and I think death by a million cuts gets you to the over. I do like the Brewers here on the money line up to a minus 140, and I do like that over. I did set my total here at an 8.7, 957, 958 on the card. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks on the road against the Slam Diego Padres. Griffin Canning is on the bump for the Pods. Merrill Kelly for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 8.5 to 9 is the total on the 8.5. Over is minus 120. The under is even on the 9. The under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And pick your poison here, ladies and gentlemen, because the Padres are dead stinking last in terms of run production with their offense. Diamondbacks are way down with regards to their home run power. But Merrill Kelly and Griffin Canning have been absolutely awful this year. I'm going to dive in on the under, and with Griffin Canning and the Padres, I made them a minus 120 favorite. I'm going to take the money line because I trust in the bullpen outside of Griffin Canning, because Griffin Canning has an ERA well above a 6. Now, the fielding independent numbers say that there should be a little bit of positivity here. Who knows if that's going to be coming, but what has been positive is having so many of these guys, like a Mason Miller, along with Jason Adam, Yuki Matsui. You just go down the list of guys, give you a sub-3 ERA. Even Adrian Montejón has been a little bit better for this team. So while you've got a 671 ERA here with Canning, 508 fielding dependent, he's given up the 5.3 walks per 9 innings, but has given up 2 earned runs or fewer in 2 out of his last 3 starts, albeit didn't fill 5 innings. But again, that's why you pass it off to the bullpen. And for Merrill Kelly, up, down, all-around season for this man. Like, man, that's not been great to say the least. He's right now supplying a 571 ERA. Fielding independent is right around about a 603, 2 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and no swing and miss here. 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now, it's the San Diego Padres team that, again, dead sinking last in the National League in terms of run creation. Fernando Tatis Jr. still stuck on a single-digit amount of homers. At the very least, he's not at 0 like he was a few weeks ago. He has given you about a 340 on base, and then you've been able to have Gavin Sheets along with Manny Machado give you a little bit of power. For Machado right now, he has been able to supply the team with 17 or so home runs. Was out of the fold yesterday. He's a little bit day-to-day. Gavin Sheets, 14 home runs. He's hitting for about a 235, and then you've got Jake Cronenworth hitting below the Bedell side of 200. Sang Song has been hitting below a 225. Jackson Merrill has been an issue, and Xander Bogaerts, well, he's been a waste of money. Meanwhile, for the Arizona Diamondbacks, you've got Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, 17 home runs. He's hitting about a 270. Corbin Carroll, he's been able to give you 13 home runs. He's been relatively solid there. Max Kepler might be able to provide a little bit of value. We shall see there. Gabriel Moreno, he's been able to provide a 290, but some of these guys towards the bottom full. Pavin Smith, along Tommy Troy, they're just not doing a lot for you. And then when it comes to the bullpen of the Arizona Diamondbacks, I mean, I don't really trust in Kevin Ginkel too much, but he's still been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. I just have never really been a fan of Paul Sewell, but these guys like Ryan Thompson, Jonathan Loaizaga, Taylor Clark, they've been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. So it's a very interesting circumstance here. I did set my total at an 8.9. I'm going to be willing to take a 9+ to the under, and with the Padres, I was willing to lay up to a -127 on the money line. 959, 960 on the card. It's the Colorado Rockies. They're going to be on the road against the San Francisco Giants. We do know that Ryan Feltner is going to be on the bump for Colorado, and for San Francisco, this is a game that is very much to be determined, so this is presently off the board, and if you are able to indeed get Robbie Ray here, I'd be willing to lay up to about a -165 on the Giants. Robbie Ray is a little bit TBD in this start, so 8.5 or less, looking at the over, a 9 or higher to the under, knowing that you're getting Ryan Feltner giving up 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, and with the known elements in this game, you know that the Rockies have been able to generate about 4.7 runs per game away from home, which is actually way up from where they have been in the past. Hunter Goodman has been a good man, give you 27+ home runs, and you've had so many of these guys like a TJ Bromfield, who's been able to hit darn near 300 for this team. Mickey Moniak has come off the injury list. He's done a good job moving the line, getting on base, and he's been able to hit for power. And even these guys at the bottom fold, like Kyle Karros, have been solid. And for the Rockies, this has been a Rocky-style bullpen. They're in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of ERA. Even Antonio Senzatella is starting to act up for the team. And for the Giants, they themselves have been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of ERA, and they just got completely destroyed and almost no-hit by Dylan Cease yesterday. You have to recognize the fact that this Giants team as well, they have been a bottom 6 team at home in terms of run creation. They have been much better in terms of being able to score away from home rather than at home, because San Francisco is a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. You've got Luis Ariz, Jungle Lee, who are hitting above 300 for this unit. Willie Adames, he has been able to give you 14 home runs, but man, about a 280 on base. And then you've got Casey Schmidt, who's hitting for about a 275, 16 home runs. So, I mean, that is a big reason why I do trust in the Giants a little bit more here in this spot, because you have been able to get a bit more out of Schmidt. Bryce Eldridge, he's been able to give you 355 on base. And if you do indeed get Robbie Ray, again, we are waiting to see whether or not Robbie Ray is going to be starting in this game, but he has been a significantly better pitcher at home rather than away from home, as he's a very much fly ball guy. 345 ERA, but a 470 fielding dependent overall for the season, because overall for the season he gives up 1.3 home runs per 9 innings. But then you look under the hood at what he's been able to do when he has been at home, and he has been a significantly better pitcher in terms of reducing on the hard contact. At home, 5 home runs allowed in 54 innings. That's more around about 0.9 home runs per 9 innings compared to about 1.9 to 2 home runs allowed per 9 innings away from home, and at home 250 ERA. So if we do get Robbie Ray, I'd be willing to lay up to -165-ish here on the Giants money line, plus 168 or higher. Looking at the Rockies with Ryan Feltner having that 5 ERA, 1.5 home runs or so per 9 innings, and then 8.5 or less in on the over, a 9 or higher to the under. 961, 962 on the card. It's the Yankees. They're going to be on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays. Drew Rasmussen is on the bump for the Rays, and you got to be determined on the bump for the Yankees. This game is off the board because we do not know if Elmer Rodriguez will be pitching or not for the Yankees, but if we do get Elmer Rodriguez or some sort of bullpen game, this could be Paul Blackburn, someone like that, I'd be willing to lay up to about a -148 on the Rays. I would need at least a +150 to take a shot here on the Yankees, and then an 8 or less to the over, an 8.5 higher to the under, because Drew Rasmussen has just been the man here for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's been able to give you 9+ strikeouts per 9 innings, really doesn't give up too much of the deep ball, and he does a great job in terms of not giving up walks as well. Right now, 1.6 walks, 1 home run allowed per 9 innings. The known element of him is absolutely amazing. Bullpen has been a little bit, shall we say, suspect. Cole Sulzer has a 5+ ERA, but the guys that they brought in recently, like they pick up Casey Lugamina off the scrap heap, Cam Boozer, who was pitching for the Red Sox last year, they've come in, they've been able to give you sub 3 ERA. I like what I've seen out of Brian Baker as well, and this has been a Yankees team that legitimately, because we don't know who the starter is, the known element of them is that they're probably going to be throwing quite a bit of the bullpen this game. They've actually been quite solid. This is a Yankees bullpen that is actually entering into the day on Wednesday, number 1 in the American League in terms of ERA. You've had David Bednar not really poop the Bednar for this team, and then additionally, you've been able to have some of these mix and match guys like Paul Blackburn, who I mentioned before, may start, maybe a little bit more of a bulk guy, what have you. He's been able to do a nice job as well. I like what I've been seeing out of Francisco Cruz, but for the New York Yankees, over the last 17 games, they're averaging about 3 runs per game. That was entering into the day on Wednesday. They have fallen, and they can't get up with regards to their offense without Aaron Judge. Now, you do have Ben Rice, who continues to give you a 24+ home runs, right around about a 370 on base, and then you've been able to get a little bit more of something out of Anthony Volpe with a 340 on base. base, but he's been a disappointment. The entire catcher spot has been rough. Ryan McMahon has not been great. Max Schumann, he's hitting for less than a 220. Meanwhile, for the Tampa Bay Rays, Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, both of these guys over a 380 on base, and both of these guys 13 plus home runs. Junior Caminero, 11 home runs in the last 14 games. He has been superb, 365 on base, and even the likes of Johnny DeLuca is hitting at 265, Nick Fortes, 260, Chandler Simpson. These guys have been pretty rock solid. So interesting circumstance here, because if you do indeed get Elmer Rodriguez, that's right now who Fangraphs is projecting is going to be the starter. He's got, in my opinion, some relatively solid stuff. He's made up some of his starts against the Texas Rangers. I believe 2 out of his 4 starts. 4.76 ERA, 5.18 fielding dependent. He's only won 17 innings at the big league level, so it's a jury's out situation. When it's only giving about 5.3 strikeouts per 9 innings in those starts, you look at what he's been able to do more at the AAA level for the New York Yankees this far this season. More around about 9 strikeouts per 9 innings at the AAA level. Does a good job not allowing the deep ball, but does give up some walks as well. So minus 148 or better. Looking at the Rays, plus 150 or better. The Yankees, and then 8 or less, like the over, 8.5 or the under. 963, 964 on the card. The Guardians are going to be on the road against the Minnesota Twins. Bailey Ober makes his first start off the injury list for the Minnesota Twins, and Gavin Williams goes for Cleveland. 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 120. Under is between even and minus 110. And with regards to the Guardians, they are between minus 124 to minus 134 favorites, and between plus 110 to a plus 115 is that number on Minnesota. And I'm going to be in on the Guardians. I was willing to lay up to a minus 145 with them. Bailey Ober coming off the injury list. You just don't know what you're going to be able to get out of him. He was looking a little bit better this season in terms of just not giving up as much of the deep ball as a season ago, but it's a big giant question mark whenever you have a pitcher like Bailey Ober making his first start in over a month. And for Bailey Ober, his velocity has been way down thus far this season. Career low, 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, 4.59 ERA, 4.98 fielding dependent. Now it does need to be pointed out on the flip side for Gavin Williams. He has been a gentleman that has been much better when he has been at home rather than away from him. He's getting good swing and miss stuff, right around about 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he does allow the deep ball a little bit, 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, and he's been a little bit of a different pitcher when he's been away from Cleveland. For Gavin Williams, when he's been at home, he's been able to keep the ball a little bit more in the yard, giving up about 1 home run per 9 innings. That does go up to about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings away from him, 3 ERA at home, 4.82 ERA away from him. But you also do have a Cleveland Guardians team that over the last 30 games, they have given up less than 3.6 runs per game with their offense. So the offense has been way down, and that's a big reason why I do like this 8 after the under, even with the question marks here of Bailey Ober. And for the Cleveland Guardians, like, where are you getting offense from right now? Travis Bazzano, Brian Rocchi are giving you like a 340 on base. That's doing a little bit of something for you, but man, it is a little bit of a rough ordeal there. Reese Hoskins hitting below the below sign of 200. Boy, that's been rough. Chase Lauder has been able to give you about a 340 on base, but you really don't have any power whatsoever with the team. Gabriel Urias has been a big, giant flopperoonie. And then for the Minnesota Twins, you've got Byron Buxton currently dealing with an injury. He's a guy that hits for over 25 home runs. Travis Larnach is able to move line. Larnach to 380 on base. Lucas Shaw, Victor Carantini between about a 330 to a 340 on base. And then you've been able to get some relatively good power out of Brooks Lee, Cody Clemens. These guys have been able to combine for 30 home runs thus far this season. And the Twins bullpen is terrible. Like, you don't know what you're going to be able to get out of Bailey Ober in this game, but you know that the Twins bullpen is bad. Yandres Gomez is giving you a sub 350 ERA out of this bullpen and really nothing else. Andrew Morris, Taylor Rogers, Eric Orze, Travis Adams, like, you just go down the list of terrible bullpen arms and they're just all here for the Minnesota Twins. And then you've got on the flip side a Guardians team that hasn't been quite the same with their bullpen as they've been in the past, but they're still in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Kate Smith has been one of the leaders in saves. He's been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. You've been able to get a little bit more of something out of some of these guys like a Hunter Gaddis, who was shaky to begin the season. Tim Aaron continues to give you a sub 335 ERA as well, but I do think that in the end, just having a terrible bullpen, a guy in Bailey Ober where you just have absolutely no idea whatsoever what he's going to be able to get you, that this Guardians team is going to be able to go out there, get the job done for you. So I do like this total to the under. I set my total more around at 8.3, and for the Guardians, I'm going to be willing to lay up to a minus 144 on the money line. 965, 966 on the card. It is the Red Sox on the road against the White Sox. Anthony K says okay to another start, and Patrick Sandoval for the Boston Red Sox. 9 is the total, over and under both at minus 110, with White Sox minus 112 to a minus 120 is your number there. Minus 104 to plus 105 is what you're going to be getting with the Boston Red Sox. And I actually made the Red Sox the favorite in this game. I don't agree with them being the underdog. I'm going to be looking at the Red Sox on the money line. Now, I do recognize that this is the first start since 2024 for Patrick Sandoval, but this is a little bit more of a fate of Anthony K, who, he's been okay with regards to the ERA. If you want to play off a little bit of a pun, he's right now about a 4.29 ERA, but that fielding independent is right now more in the neighborhood of a 4.94. Pitches to a lot of contact, 7.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.5 walks per 9 innings, and the Boston Red Sox have some of the biggest wackadoo splits that you're ever going to see. they're darn near 10 games below 500 at home, and they're, depending upon what happens on Wednesday, either at or above 500 when they've been away from home. Red Sox are dead last in the American League in terms of run production at home. 3.55 runs per game, over 4.6 runs per game when they've been away from home. A 1.1 run per game difference. And for the Red Sox, you've got Wilson Contreras being able to carry the mail for the team. He's been very rock solid, being able to give you an on-base percentage that's hovering in that neighborhood about a 380, 20 plus home runs. So do have to love to see that. And then Jarren Duran, he's been able to do a pretty solid job in terms of being able to give you power, but he's only hanging right around about the Mendoza line of 200. You've had a few mix and match guys, like you've had Ceddanne Rafael, Masataka Yoshida give you right around about a 330 to a 340 on base. And then Isaiah Canner-Falefa has been okay. I like Anthony Siegler as well. He's been able to do a solid job. Meanwhile, for the White Sox, you've got Randall Grichuk, who's actually been able to give you some good production for the team. Miguel Vargas, he's been able to supply for you about 19 plus home runs, about a 360 on base. Chase Meadroth, he's been able to give you about a 340 on base. And then you've got a few guys at the bottom fold, like Luan Acuna has not been great, but getting Kyle Teal to be able to replace what you've been able to get in terms of a nothing burger at the catcher spot should be able to help out this White Sox bullpen as well. And then when it comes to the Chicago White Sox team, they do have a bullpen that's been right around about league average in terms of the big leagues. Sir Anthony Dominguez was not really a trustworthy bullpen piece, and they've moved him from the closer's role. You've got Sean Newcomb, Brian Hudson, Grant Taylor. They've been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. Trevor Richards, Jordan Nix, they still have been a little bit shaky, and for the Boston Red Sox, this has been a top 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. I really like what I'm seeing out of Garrett Woodlock, sub-3 ERA. Teron Guerrero has been able to fill in with the likes of Tyler Semenaijo and company currently on the full. Greg Weisert has been shaky all season long, but Aroldis Chapman, he's been very reliable for this team. And when it comes to what you're going to be able to get out of Patrick Sandoval, it is a little bit of a roll of the dice because he is making his first start since the 2024 campaign, and it's not like he was necessarily amazing during the 2024 campaign. He had to make a lot of minor league rehab starts to be able to make this one. I've always felt like he has some relatively good upside. The strikeouts per 9 rate for his career is hovering right around about 9. May not be quite there because this is his first start in quite some time, but you look at what he did in his 8 minor league rehab starts, 8.4 strikeouts, the 4.9 walks per 9 innings, a little bit of a concern, but again, I have more faith in him than Anthony Case. I'm told at 80.9, 9 plus in on the under for the Red Sox. I feel like they're the favorite, one to lay up to minus 102 on the money line. 967, 968 on the card. It's the Athletics. They're going to be playing against the Detroit Tigers. From Valdez is on the bump for Detroit. Jack Perkins for the Athletics. The Athletics find themselves as an underdog between plus 118 to plus 124. Meanwhile, minus 138 to minus 145 is that number on Detroit. 9 is the total, over and under, both at minus 110. I like the under here. I think that there's positivity for Jack Perkins. If you look at the discrepancy between fielding independent and ERA, he's got one of the biggest ones in all baseball. Now, it is a guy in Perkins that began his season out there in the bullpen, and he's got a 6.75 ERA, which that looks daunting. Fielding independent is 4. 2.75 points lower. He is getting 11.5 strikeouts per 9 innings and 1.3 home runs per 9 innings. It's nothing magical or anything like that, but it's not as bad as what you'd expect for a guy with a 6.75 ERA, and he does go up against a Tigers team that continues to be in the bottom 8 in the big leagues in terms of just total run creation. And for Framber Valdez, it's been just all sorts of shaky from 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but it is an Athletics team that they have very much benefited from playing in both Sacramento and lovely Las Vegas for their offense, and I would be willing to lay up to about a minus 138 here with the Tigers on the money line. That would be my absolute max because they do have the better bullpen in this ordeal as well. You've got an Athletics team that Alvin Alvarado is in the building to give you over a 4 ERA. It has been all sorts of shaky when it comes to a lot of these long guys like Luis Medina, Jose Suarez, and company. Justin Sterner's hovering right around about a 4 ERA. Do like what I'm seeing out of Hogan Harris, but that's not saying much. And then for the Athletics, you've got a pretty solid offense in terms of guys moving the line. Henry Bolte, Carlos Cortez are both above a 350 on base. Shea Legulares, Shea is banged for 20 plus home runs with hitting about a 265. You can have Nick Kurtz give you over a 4 on base, 20 plus home runs out of him, and getting Tyler Soderstrom off the injury list. He was one of the hottest hitters in all baseball in June before he was out for about 2 or so weeks. That's big, and you've got Jacob Wilson back as well. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, you've got a few guys that are doing a nice job being able to reach base, but Dylan Dingler had to leave the game early yesterday. Now, Jake Rogers hit a home run in his place, but that's something that you do want to be mindful of. You've got Kevin McGonigal along with Riley Green, who have been able to give you over a 375 on base. But these mix and match guys like Jahmai Jones, Zach McKinstry, Matt Vierling, Spencer Torkelson, hitting at 220 or lower. Not great. Now, Torkelson does have 15 home runs, but still about a 316 on base. And for the Tigers, the bullpen has been improving. Will Vest has just been a lost cause as far this season, and I don't trust in Kenley Jansen at the bullpen spot. But Drew Anderson, along with Emmanuel De Jesus, they've been relatively good long guys. We've seen Drew Summers have a little bit of regression, but a sub 350 ERA out of him, and moving Kadir Montero into into the bullpen. That should be able to help out this team a little bit as well. So I like the under here. I set my total at 8.4, and for the Tigers, we'll lay up to -130 on the money line. 969, 970 on the card. The Rangers are going to be playing against the Angels. Reed Detmers goes for the Halos. Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers, and the Rangers do find themselves as a pretty good size favorite here. Rangers are between -142 to a -150, +120 to a +130 is that number on Los Angeles. 7 is the total. Over is -110 to a -120. The under is between even a -110. Don't say this very often. Might have some value here on the Angels. I'm taking a shot on them on the money line. Reed Detmers has been a much better pitcher than what his ERA would indicate. He's been getting 10.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's giving up only about 0.8 home runs per 9 innings, and he goes up against a Rangers lineup that really just has not been able to give you much at home this far this season. 3.8 runs per game at home. That is 27th in the big leagues for Detmers, while he has that 4.11 ERA, 3.09 fielding dependent. Nathan Eovaldi's given up the deep ball as well. 4.02 ERA, 4.23 fielding dependent, 1.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and the Rangers bullpen has toilet bowled recently. Since May 1st, they've been a bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. They have a higher bullpen ERA since May 1st than the LA Angels. And the LA Angels threw out their stinking Alek Manoah a few weeks ago. Like, my goodness. So, I'm going to be in on the Angels here. I recognize that bullpen is still not very good, but you do have Chase Silseth, who's been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. Ryan Zephyrion is really not giving you too much, but in some of these mix and match guys, Kirby Yates have been able to give you a bit of something. And for the Angels, they entered into the day on Wednesday, 9th in the big leagues in terms of runs per game away from home, and now they've got Mike Trout back. Mike Trout, 393 on base. He's been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers. That helps out because, well, you take a look at the lineup yesterday, the only other man with above a 315 on base, Zach Neto, who's been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers. You've got Joydell be able to give you a double-figure amount of bombs as well, but he's not giving you much. 290 with regards to that on base. So it's a series starting to regress a little bit, and for the Rangers, you've got Jake Berger, Jock Peterson, who've been able to give you 14-plus home runs, and both of these guys hitting between about a 240 to a 250. They're still dealing with the Wyatt Langford injury, and whenever Corey Seager's been out there, he's been in and out of the fold all season long, just has not been very consistent. Evan Carter hitting below the Bedell sign 200. I do like some of these guys that move line to a Coliseum. Alejandro Ozuna has been able to give you about a 340 on base. Icky Lopez has been able to hit above a 300 as well, but for the Rangers, they've been dealing with some injuries with that bullpen as well. Tyler Alexander has been steady Eddie for them. He and Jacob Laz, sub 325 ERA, but now you're without Jacob Junis. Chris Martin has been posting up high ERA, like being great, sub 350 ERA out of him, but in the end, I do trust in Mr. Detmers to be able to get the job done, and I do think that this is going to be a little bit of an overwhelming game. Set my total 7.8, like the over, and I do like the Angels on the money line. 971, 972 on the card. It's the Royals. They're going to be on the road against the New York Mets. Sean Manaea is on the bump for the Mets. Michael Waka, and if he has a bad start, it's going to be the dying Pac-Man voice of Michael Waka 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 Waka. Goes for the Royals. The Royals who find themselves between +123 to a +128. Meanwhile, -142 to a -152 is that number on the Mets. 9 is the total. Over is -115, and the under is -105. This total is just too high for me. I set my total at 8.1. I like the under here because for Michael Waka, he's just a steady Eddie guy. He's not going to blow you away. He's going to get like 7.1 or so strikeouts per 9 innings, but he keeps things out in front of him. 3.45 ERA, 1 home run, 2.5 walks per 9 innings. And I recognize that the Royals had that massive outburst on Tuesday where that game was drunk and high at the same time, but they entered in the day on Wednesday, averaging 3.9 runs per game away from home. That's bottom 3 in all baseball for the Mets. They're a bottom 8 team in terms of run creation as well. Carson Benj has been able to give you a bit more. He had that Little League home run a few days ago, but other than Juan Soto, who's giving you about a 400 on base, he's been up to 18-plus home runs. You just don't really have a lot of power with this team. And Sean Manaea has been better than his 5.16 ERA would indicate. A 4.02 fielding dependent. That is a big reason why I did set the Mets at a -147. So like a -145 or so, I would be willing to take a shot on them on the money line. Also have a Mets bullpen that has been really good with their bullpen. Now, Austin Warren has seen his ERA go above 4. That's not great, but likes of Oscar Brisbane, AJ Minter, Luke Weaver, these guys have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. And then on the other end for the Royals, it's been a no good, very bad, terrible bullpen for them. Like ever since Carlos Aceves went down with an injury, this team was just absolutely lost. They're now throwing Randy Dobnik for long innings. Steven Cruz has been posting up above a 5 ERA. Alex Lang, he's been posting up over a 4.50 ERA. And for the Royals, Carter Jensen, Jack Caglione, as young guys have been able to step up. Both guys are hitting above a 245 with 13-plus home runs. Bobby Witt Jr., he's been able to swipe a lot of bags, nearly 30 bags, 290 average. I love what he's been able to bring to the table. But Salvador Perez, 250 on base, and he's right now getting 11 home runs. You just seen a little bit more there. Isaac Collins has been able to move line, and then on the flip side for the Mets, the fact that you just have gotten nothing out of Francisco Lindor or Polanco. These guys are coming back, but they just have not been good. Has me a little bit cautious here with regards to total. So we'll lay up to a -146 on this money line of the Mets, and I'm in on the under. So my total at 8.1. 973, 974 on the card. It's the Cubs. They're going to be on the road against the Orioles as David Peterson, great name. He's on the bump for the Cubs. Trevor Rogers is in the neighborhood for Baltimore. Baltimore minus 125 to minus 131 favorites. Plus 108 to plus 115 is that number on Chicago. 9.5 is the total. Over and under both at minus 110. And I'm willing to take the money line here of the Orioles up to a minus 125 for David Peterson. He's been a little bit better since coming on over to the Chicago Cubs. But for Peterson, he's got that ERA above a 5 right now. And the command has just been a big issue for him. Going up against a Orioles team that has been much better with their offense when they've been at home rather than away from home. About 4.3 runs per game away from home, closer to 4.8 runs per game at home. And for Mr. Peterson, 6.75 ERA thus far this season. The 4.10 fielding dependent, 0.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Points towards a little bit of positivity, but you also have a Cubs bullpen that they've got like 4 or 5 different guys that are currently out of the fold with that bullpen. Like Daniel Palencia is currently on the injury list, Hobie Milner's on the injury list, Phil Matone, Riley Martin. Like, this is a banged up team, and now they're kicking the tires on Drew Pomeranz, who is terrible with the Angels last season. So I do like the over to go along with the Orioles on the money line. And for the Cubs, I do think that they're going to be able to do their part with this total because Pete Armstrong, ever since selling out that fan, he's been able to do a nice job. He's up to 19 home runs, giving you about a 380 on base this season. Michael Busch has been able to give you about a 360 on base. A Suzuki, about a 370 on base with regards to he and Carson Kelly. Kelly, more on to 370 on base. Suzuki, more on about a 345, but 13 home runs out of him. Dansby Swanson, still sub 300 on base, and just feels like whenever he plays double headers, he's really good. 16 home runs this far this season, and Ian Happ, he has 17 home runs, but Happ, along with Alex Bregman, pretty much lead the league in terms of men stranded on base. The Cubs have not been great with regards to their positional hitting, and you've got a Baltimore Orioles team that, on the flip side, they've been rough with their bullpen. They're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of ERA, but you do have Ynier Cano, Uncle Rico Garcia, both being able to give you a sub-3 ERA. And I will say, for the Cubs, the guys that they do still have out there have been relatively solid in terms of holding down the fort, like a Trent Thornton has been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. I like what I've seen out of Jacob Webb as well, and that'll help them out against a Orioles team that's been very wishy-washy this season. 19 home runs, 340 on base for Pete Alonso. And Gunnar Anderson does give you the 16 home runs. He's hitting for less than a 300 on base, so Leody Taveras has been able to hit about a 240. Samuel Basayo, Tyler Ward have been both able to hit about a 250 to 255 with Ward. Only 5 home runs this season, but a 380 on base. Blaze Alexander has been able to move the line, but the likes of Kobe Mayo, Tyler O'Neill, Colton Cowser, when he's been out there as he's dealt with injury, hitting a 225 or lower at the bottom of the fold has been a little bit of an issue. And with Trevor Rogers, he's been much better recently. I still have a little bit of trepidation because he's not been a guy that has really been able to give you a lot of swing and miss. And for Rogers, it took him a while, but he was finally able to get that ERA down to where it is right now at about a 470. The fielding independent, though, that's more in that neighborhood, about a 403, because he's only giving up 1 home run, 3.1 walks per 9 innings. But again, 6.9 strikeouts per 9. That's pretty much a career low for him. So I did set this money line price at a minus 126, one to go up to a minus 125, and I'm in on the over. Semi total 9.7. Wrap things up with 975, 976. The Marlins are going to be playing us to the Mariners, as we know that Bryce Miller is going to be on the bump for the Marlins. Right now, it's looking like Jansen Junk is on the bump for Miami, and the total is 8. Over is minus 110 to a minus 120. Under is between even a minus 110. Minus 142 to minus 150 is that number on Seattle. Plus 120 to plus 125 is that number on the Marlins. And I like the under just because Bryce Miller has been that good. Now, you've got Jansen Junk, who's pitched like junk thus far this season for the Miami Marlins, so very fitting on the name there, and he's going to be pitching for the first time in quite some time. Now, with Junk, he actually does a nice job in terms of not really giving up a lot of walks or anything like that, but he's just incapable of giving you any sort of strikeouts whatsoever. But good news is he goes up against the Seattle Mariners team that's in the bottom 8 in the big leagues in terms of run creation. But you look at Bryce Miller, 171 ERA. He's up to 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's actually giving up more home runs than walks. 0.9 walks per 9 innings, 1.2 home runs per 9 innings. So the command has been pinpoint, and typically with these Mariners pitchers, you get very demonstrative home and road splits. I mean, with him, he's still giving you about a 270 ERA away from home. He hasn't been quite the same as he has been in Seattle, but very pitcher-friendly ballpark in Miami. So I think that you've got good value on the under, along with the Mariners up to about a minus 150. And with this Mariners lineup, you are going to need Cal Raleigh to be able to get it going, because he's giving you a single-digit amount of homers. That has not necessarily been great, to say the least. Additionally, you've been having J.P. Crawford give you only about a 213 average, up to about 332 on base. He's been able to hit a few bombs. Tom Canzoni's been able to give you about a 340 on base. He's been able to hit for 13 to 14 home runs. He and Julio Rodriguez are right there, but Rodriguez has been a little bit in and out of the fold. Colty Young has been able to about a 255, so like what I'm seeing there. Meanwhile, for Liam Hicks, he's been able to supply the team with 13 13 home runs, about a 360 on base. Otto Lopez along with Xavier Edwards, both of these guys are hitting right around about a 300. Avi Sanja, he's been able to about a 280 as well. Jacob Marcy had that nice walk-off winner about a day or two ago, and he, along with Esteri Ruiz, Xavier Edwards, they've been able to give you 15 plus stolen bases. I know that Otto Lopez has been able to as well. And Owen Casey, Kyle Sauer starting to give you a little bit more there, but I think that Miller is going to be dominant. And for the Seattle Mariners, they back him up with a top 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA as well. I recognize that they're dealing with injuries of Cooper Kurzweil, Matt Brash, but Edward Bizarro, Nick Davila, Jose Ferrer, Gabe Spire, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. And then for the Miami Marlins, it's been a little bit up and down with a few of these guys on the bullpen as well, but Blake Picard, even though he had that rough go of it against the Athletics, has been a solid long guy. John King, Michael Peterson, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. So circumstance where I like the under, set my total 7.6 for the Mariners, willing to go up to a minus 149 on that money line, and that'll wrap things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @GUnit_D1. Keep in mind, Larry ZM, naming does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you like here on this podcast by that 5-star review. I'm with you guys every single day, giving you picks and analysis on every game every day, so I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.